Good evening. Hey, Commissioner. Good evening. Testing audio. Testing audio.
Good evening. How's it going?
Okay, perfect. Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
You hear me?
I just heard somebody.
BJ?
Hey, Commissioner Fletcher.
Hey, how are you doing?
All right.
Hey, Dimitri, how are you?
Doing good. Doing good. How was your holiday?
Well, it was when you work. There was a holiday. Gee, I missed that. Doing good.
citizens of our community and the region with integrity and professionalism. This is the City of Albany Commission meeting with Mayor Bo Duro, Mayor Pro Tem John Howard, Ward 1, Matt Fuller, Ward 2, BJ Fletcher, Ward 3, Chad Warbington, Ward 4, Bob Langstaff Jr., Ward 5, Demetrius Young, Ward 6, City Manager Sharon Subadale, City Clerk Sonia Talbot, and City Attorney Nathan Davis. This is the City of Albany Commission meeting.
Good evening. Welcome to the May 2020 regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners. There they are. Well, they told me that. Good evening. Welcome to the 20 regular meeting of the Commissioners. Item on the agenda is I believe we have on the line from New True Fellowship Baptist Church. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That's not Reverend Miller. That's the gentleman who will be speaking to us later.
I'm actually on a phone line. I'm
Okay.
not on
Okay.
so you'll be able to see.
Okay, Reverend Miller,
Yes, sir.
okay, those of us who would wish, we could stand.
I want to just say, first of all, Mayor, to you and the commission, thank you for the invite. And thank you so much for what you guys are doing. Y'all are doing a very good job, and just keep up the good work. Let us bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you now for Jesus and all that he did for our sins. Father, we thank you right now, Father, that you would just continue to bless the city of Albany, not only the city of Albany, but this world that we live in, Lord. We thank you now, Father, that you would just continue to bless now our commission as they get ready, Father, to go through the handle the business of the city. We thank you now that you will allow them to lay aside self right now and become one so that they can do the business of the city, Lord. We thank you now that you would just continue to bless our doctors, our nurses, our public safety officers. Continue to just bless all of the city workers, Father. We give you the praise tonight, and we give you all of the glory, Lord. It is in your Son, Jesus' name, we praise you and say, amen, amen, and amen. Thank you again, guys.
Thank you, Reverend Miller. The next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Mayor Pro Tem. Pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which is one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item is consideration of the minutes from the previous meeting. Ma'am? Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Kelly has asked that we have a roll call. If I could, Mayor Pro Tem? No, I mean, we're asking roll call. Mayor Pro Tem is here. Commissioner.
Yes, I'm on.
Commissioner Fletcher.
Yes.
And I see Commissioner Warbington, but I'll call Commissioner Warbington.
Yes, I'm here.
Langstaff.
Here.
Good evening. Commissioner Young.
Here.
Okay. City Manager.
Here.
Okay, and the City Attorney is here with us. Is that sufficient, Ms. Kelly? The next item is consideration of the minutes from the previous meeting. Any action? If not, is there a motion to? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? If not, we'll have a roll call. Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes.
Commissioner Fuller,
Yes.
Commissioner Fletcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Warrington, Commissioner Langstaff,
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Mayor votes yes. The minutes are approved. The next item is a resolution recognizing the City of Albany employees for their role in responding to COVID-19. This is a resolution has to be voted on at this time. Is any commissioner would like to offer the resolution and ask for its adoption?
Yes, I'll offer the resolution and ask for its adoption.
Do we have a second? Mayor Pro Tem is a second. Any discussion on this resolution? With that, we'd have a roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem. Yes. Commissioner Fuller.
Yes.
Commissioner Fletcher.
Yes.
Commissioner Warrington.
Yes.
Commissioner Langstaff.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
The mayor votes yes. And the resolution has been voted on and approved. The next item on the agenda is a report of the Committee of the Whole. Has to do with the alcohol license hearing. The applicant is Rusty Tackle, 922 Radium Springs Road, Decannon agent, seeking a beer license. Ms. Dutch.
We need him to unmute.
Ms. Messer, have you called in? Can you hear us? Mayor, I'll go in the back and call her. We talked to her twice last week and earlier today. So, and she has the information to call in. If you want to move on to something else, I'll go in the back and see if I can get her on to call in.
Somebody's trying to talk.
I'm sorry, Ms. Supadan, you said?
Yeah, there was a person trying to speak on a area code 561 number.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Linda Taylor. I'm calling about my alcohol license consideration. I'm located at 1209 East Residence Avenue in Albany, Georgia. And
Yes, an extra.
I believe I'm on your issue. Is that correct?
Yes, Ms. Taylor, but
Okay,
you
okay.
are the next item on the agenda.
Okay, then.
Could we just
Okay.
proceed to Ms. Taylor's application?
Okay, great. I thank you for the opportunity to address the commission and regarding my issuance of alcohol license. I did try and hire someone in the community because alcohol would make up 10% of my business income. I like to include it in my store. And the store is up and running, and we're making a great impact in the community. We have people that can't travel really outside of the local community. And I think that we'll be an asset to the community and not something to hurt the community. So there it is.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Does any member of the commission have any questions for Ms. Taylor?
Not at this time.
Commissioner Fuller?
No, sir.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No, sir.
Commissioner Warrington?
No.
Commissioner Young?
Yes, ma'am. Could you possibly tell me whether or not you had considered any other additions to your business besides selling alcohol that would, make up the 10% that you say you would make off of selling alcohol?
Well, let me say this, sir. I have extended everything that would require me to make money. But again, I am trying to compete with neighboring businesses. There's an Indian store less than 5 minutes away from me on one side, and there's another one like 7 minutes away from me on the other side, and also other issues inside within the community that are going on. You know, if I'm going to be regulated, I don't see why I can't offer the same services that everybody else offers. I've done everything that I can to add other income to the store, but if I'm not going to be able to sell everything that I'm allotted to, then I'm going to lose my investment. And, again, like, I wish I could hire somebody to work and help me, but as of now, I'm doing the shift from 9 in the morning until 9 at night, sometimes 10 at night. And it's a long day for me. I'm a mom with 2 kids. So it is, it's not like something I'm doing just to make the community worse. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of the kids in the community are looking up to the fact that we are a Black-owned business. So again, I'm doing something to help the community, not to hurt it. We're even planning on, before our bread expires, to make sandwiches and feed homeless. So I'm doing something to help the community. I'm not trying to hurt it.
Yes, ma'am. And definitely applaud your enterprise and applaud you for making a decision to actually be in business. I just want to make you aware of some of the statistics surrounding alcohol outlets in poor and especially minority communities. Those communities are more prone to juvenile violence, more prone to overall violence. When there's alcohol outlets in great numbers, you spoke of the store that's on the corner. I think there's 2 other alcohol outlets within maybe a quarter-mile radius from your particular location. And what makes those problematic is because they're right there, with each other. And those studies have shown that it just, leads to other problems in the community. And I'm sure you know that that's already basically in the middle of a crime-ridden area based on the statistics that we've gotten from the APD. So I really do want to applaud your enterprise, but I just want you to know that the selling of alcohol does nothing to help the community. It may help your bottom line. It may help your profits, but that doesn't help the community, especially a struggling community. But thank you for your comments.
I also wanted to state that, you say that that my entity being able to sell alcohol was causing a problem in the community, but there are other issues in the community. There are people they have bootleg houses. So I cannot be the one that can cause, at least you would have control over my entity. But these people they're doing what they're doing already. It has nothing to do with me. I'm just trying to make sure that I can pay my rent, my light, and make a small profit. That's it. And I'm willing to give back to the community. So at the end of the day, whether I sell it or don't sell it, it's still going to be sold in the community because every other house sells it.
Yes, ma'am. I do understand that we have that issue. That particular issue is a police issue, and when we do talk about these things, that gets brought up. We have alcohol or shot houses in the community, but that's a policing issue, which is a part of the crime issue that we have in that particular area. And again, like I said, I appreciate your enterprise. Sometimes I do think that sometimes in relation to what we try to put in those communities is somewhat, including the stores that you mentioned, it is somewhat taking the easy route or taking advantage that, okay, well, somebody else is going to sell it, so let me sell it. And I just would say respectfully to you that kind of kicks the can down the road. We all have a responsibility for healthy communities, and just sometimes if we just kind of think, okay, I don't want to add to the problem, I want to be the solution instead of adding to the problem. We know we have shot houses, we know we have other elements in the community, and I would just say to not just you, but anyone that is looking to put another alcohol outlet in the Black community, in a poor, struggling community, that it does not help. And I just wish that we would kind of reconsider or just find other options to make money, instead of having the community have to have another, that's a burden upon it.
An existing business. This building has been here for umpteen years, and when I actually, before I even began to move towards this particular business, I did call and get all of the zoning and stuff correct. So at the end of the day, I don't see why I would not be able to get alcohol in this particular community. I've never had this issue before, and I've had several businesses in Florida, and none of them has required me to, go through such lengths such as this. And like I said, I have gone over and beyond to make sure, like, for instance, Ready Ice didn't even want to put an ice machine here. I talked them into it. I told them it's going to be okay. I have bread put in. I'm trying to get the EBT. I'm doing everything that I can to make everything full. We are an existing business, and I want to have every avenue in order to be able to survive and compete with the other existing businesses. That's all I want to do, is to be able to survive and compete with the other businesses in the local area. I will abide by all of the ordinances and everything that I'm supposed to do according to the law. That's all I really have to say about the issue. I'm an existing business. I put new paint on, I put signage up, I've done everything to make the building look better, be more outstanding than it was prior. I have made all of the improvements.
Okay, you say, do you live in Albany, ma'am?
I do. I own a house in Albany.
Okay. Would you be, I guess, maybe amenable to maybe sitting down with me and maybe the commissioners of that area to talk about some other options other than selling alcohol? We have quite a few resources as far as the Community Economic Development Department and other things that we possibly could find something to help you, I guess, enterprise that with something that would help the community. I would like to see I don't want to just think that you're being attacked or put upon, but we do know that this is a detriment to the community. So I would like to try to find a solution for you and try to figure out another way. Are you possibly would consider that?
I will consider it sitting in any meeting with anyone, but at the end of the day, I don't see a real purpose for being denied anything, because at the end of the day, I'm only a small business trying to survive in this big old world, and we've all had to deal with the COVID-19 situation. I want to be safe. I want my kids to be safe. My kids want to see me every day. And at the end of the day, I'm a mom raising my children, and I'm having to do 12 hours a day in this store by myself, trying to extend the income as much as I can. So at the end of the day, I think that I'm outsourcing myself to make sure that I survive. And I just don't see a legitimate reason for being denied, especially if there are neighboring businesses that have their licenses. And also, since you said that, they already supply it. But that has nothing to do with the local people that live 2 doors down, the lady that scoops down here in her wheelchair, the man that rides down here in his wheelchair. There are other people that don't want to walk outside of the community. There are people that want to do business with me rather than do business with the other 2 stores that are in the local neighborhood. So yes, I would like to be able to provide everything that every other store is giving.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. I don't know, it may be my phone, but my audio is getting increasingly lower. I don't know if that's on our end or the other end. I can barely hear you all.
I'm sorry. I don't know if I was speaking low or not. But like I said, I don't see why I would be denied to provide, to make a living for myself and for my children. Like I said, I'm a single mom, and I'm actually working in the store 12 hours a day, doing everything I can to increase the sales. So at the end of the day, I don't see no particular reason why I should be denied if other neighboring businesses they all have the same opportunity to provide a service or whatever the people want. I'm not saying all the people want is alcohol. There are people that come in buy sodas and chips and whatever I have on the shelf, maybe bananas every day. It depends on the person. I can't say, oh, no, I don't have this, but I have this. No, I don't have this. I want to be able to provide everything that everyone else is providing. It should be free enterprise. I should be able to provide anything that every other business can provide.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I still can't. It's still very low, and I've got all my volume turned up, so I don't know why I'm not able to hear. But I thank you for your comments, ma'am. It's just simply a situation where your location is basically zoned for residential, and it's in the middle of a high crime area. I guess you know the problems with that particular area. And at some point, I think this commission and this city has to really think about what we're putting into our communities if we're going to be serious about turning them around. And like I said, again, I applaud your enterprise. I applaud that you're trying to make a way for you and your family. But, free enterprise at some point has to have a limit when it can affect the community, the larger community, in a detrimental way, and that's exactly what more alcohol outlets to a poor, struggling community does. And with that, I'm done, Mayor. Thank you.
Good evening. Did Ms. Fletcher, do you have a question?
Well, yes, a comment really, Mayor. I know this lady, she's a hard worker and that store's clean. And I think this is, I think we will, Mr. Young is right that one day we'll have to really decide on where we put, alcohol and other businesses, because it just seems like we don't have any consistency. But, here we are again, a lady that's put her hard-earned money into a place and nobody warned her that she might possibly not get this alcohol license. And we're going to have to get ahead of this. We just shut down a shot house over there, and at least we can control her. But I feel the pain when you put money into something just to say that 10% of your business that you counted on that bottom line is not going to be there. So if we're going to continue this, somehow we're going to have to let these people know when they go up there to look at getting a building permit, it's almost going to be which comes first, alcohol license or the permit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem, do you have a question or comment?
Was that for me? Ma'am?
You're good. Okay. To the mayor and the board of commissioners, which, I do sympathize with the Taylor, has opened up a store in the heart of a neighborhood. And for those that may not be aware of it, there have been numerous of cases, and she cited a lot of situations that happened within that 1100 block down to the 1500 block for each resident. And it appeared that it's like a magnet that so many unlicensed businesses are taking place in that portion of Ward 2. And I would have to agree with the commissioner from the 6th Ward. As this city is going to continue to make progress during this coronavirus, and if it's God's will, we survive this coronavirus, we got to look at areas that where there's a high volume of poverty, depressed neighborhood, the lack of quality business in the community. So I do sympathize with her, but I am of the opinion is that we need to look at something that will enhance the community and try to beautify the community. And not my personal opinion, but statistics would tell you, if you continue to have those businesses that sell alcohol or whatever in the community, you're going to really wear your police department out, because numerous nights is going to be called that is coming to these certain establishments. And we just have to just take a real good stand to say, look at the location, look at the zip code. Enough is enough for these establishments, especially going into poor and minority Black neighborhoods. Or you can go and say, people of color, we seem to get the brunt of the problem. So we have to make sure that this city and this county will move forward in a progressive manner after this coronavirus.
Any other commissioner have any questions or comments? Ms. Taylor, this is Bo Durrell. We talked on the phone. How are you doing this evening?
I'm fine, sir. Thank you.
And did you have anything else to say?
Well, I locked my store doors so I can get in this meeting. So, yeah, I'm just trying to, I'm just trying to survive, sir. And at the end of the day, I understand. But I will say that a lot of the young men and a lot of the young kids that are coming in the store, they see that there are different ways to survive. So whatever their mindset was, a lot of them are seeing that they can do different things if they just empower themselves. So at the end of the day, I am trying to make an impact to the young community here. And again, I do live in the city of Albany, but I live on the west side, but I still, I came in, with both feet, and I put my money in. I put a lot of money in, with the lighting and the painting and everything that needed to be done here. And of course, it's in my inventory. So, I'm trying, I'm buying coolers and things of that sort. So all that stuff costs money. And I don't see anybody that's going to reimburse me when I go out of business. I don't want to go out of business. I came into business to make money. And I'm not going to apologize for being in business to make money, because that's what business is for. And at the end of the day, I don't see what my small little mini mart can do to a community that Walmart isn't doing, or that a local Pick and Pay or any other grocery that is closed down around here already because of people not supporting it. I have a small community of people, houses here. I can get them all to sign paperwork saying how important they feel that the mini mart is to them. How the lady across the street just said to me, she's so glad that we built it. They come in, they get aluminum foil, they get paper plates, they get paper towel. So I'm selling everything else. I am selling everything else, but I am missing that part of my entity, and I cannot help it. If every other house here is a bootleg house, it has nothing to do with me, but my entity can be controlled. You understand? Whenever I close up.
If I'm selling it less than the bootleg, maybe they'll come to me instead of going to them, and they'll go out of business. So at the end of the day, you know, me being here in the heart of the community can also help. So that's all I have to say. Maybe that would stop the other bootleg houses from running, because it seems to me like every other house here is selling it, and it's not. It shouldn't have anything to do with me. I just came here, like I said. I guess I got my certificate of occupancy in April, and here it is, almost June, and I don't have an alcohol and tobacco license. I mean, I have the alcohol. I don't have the alcohol license. I have the tobacco, but no alcohol. And I just think it's, you know, I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame that that if you're not living in this community and you have and you've already made a judgment about my store without coming in and taking a look and seeing what we're doing in the community and with the children and with the families that live here. And, you know, I think it's a shame to make an assumption on us hurting the community and not helping it.
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
it, Mayor. Yes, sir.
And with that, we
Mayor,
don't take a vote. Excuse me.
I was just going to say one thing. This is Commissioner Fuller. I did come by last week and spent some time in the store and was impressed with, you know, there's some improvements that have been made there and plenty of inventory. The thing that did concern me was just the fact that it is just dab smack next door to residential houses. And that was my big concern with it. But again, I think that the applicant has done a nice job with working on her building and getting it set up. She was not there. I believe it was her brother that was working there on that day. But I would applaud her for the work they've done and for being an entrepreneur there.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fuller. We don't take a vote on that. We do?
Yes, sir. And if it does not pass, then there's, as I said, it's sent out. Thank you. As with the Messer application, which did not garner enough of and set it down again for next month.
So is this?
Sir, this is Marion Messer.
Oh, good.
I've been listening to the conversation.
Oh, good.
Yes.
All right, Ms.
I'm
Messer.
sorry.
No, hold on, Ms. Messer. We're gonna vote on Ms. Taylor's application first. I'm sorry we missed you earlier, but we've gone on to the next. Ms. Messer, we've gone on to the next item. We'll come back to you, okay? Okay. So is this an ordinance, Ms. Davis? Okay. So, would it be I offer the ordinance and ask for unanimous consent to dismiss with its second reading and ask for its adoption? Would that be the application? It would not. Okay.
It's not a two-vote item.
Okay. All right. So on the table is Ms. Taylor's application for a beer license. This is not an on-site consumption license. It's not a liquor license. Does any member of the commission wish to make a move to approve or deny?
Mayor.
I make a motion to approve.
There you go. You're good.
Commissioner Fuller just made a motion.
BJ.
No, BJ Fletcher.
Okay. Commissioner Fletcher made a motion to approve. I would second the motion to approve. And would we call that for a vote? Okay. So the motion on the table, so everybody's clear, is a motion to approve, not a motion to deny. The first I would call Mayor Pro Tem. No. Commissioner Fuller.
No.
No. Commissioner Fletcher.
Yes.
Commissioner Warbington.
I vote no.
Commissioner Langstaff.
No.
Commissioner Young.
No.
The mayor votes yes. So the application is denied. And Ms. Taylor? Ms. Taylor?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
A hearing will be scheduled on this application.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, next item is the application for alcohol license at Rusty Hook Bait and Tackle, 922 Radium Springs Road. Are you there, Ms. Messer? Ms. Messer, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
City Attorney, would it be appropriate for Ms. Messer to speak, or would we just ask questions?
Nathan needs to unmute.
Okay. The city attorney says that Mr. Norman needs to speak on this issue first.
Yeah.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Marshall, good evening.
Good evening. I did
Tell us your name, please.
Nathaniel Norman.
All right. And you run the marshal's office here in Albany?
Yes, sir.
All right. Tell us briefly about your background. Are you post-certified?
Yes, sir. I'm a sworn certified officer by the state of Georgia.
And how long have you been post-certified?
For 24 years.
All right. And you run the office, I'll use layman's terms, that handles alcohol applications and occupation tax certificates and other matters?
Yes, sir, I do.
Okay. And tonight you're going to tell us about a survey you made of the properties concerning this application by Ms. Messer.
Yes, sir.
And we all know this is on Radium Springs Road. Is this the old Huggins Outboard?
That is
location?
Correct.
Okay. And when you tell us what you did or what didn't happen or whatever, this is all based on your firsthand knowledge because you've done it yourself?
That's correct.
All right. And what did you do in response to setting up for this hearing as far as the neighborhood and the circumstances out by the applicant's address?
I made an assessment of Radium Springs Road from East Broad Avenue to Oak Ridge Drive. Okay. Within that corridor, there's 24 commercial businesses that are currently active. Out of that 24, there are 6 establishments that sell alcohol, 3 of them for on-premise consumption and 3 of them for off-premise consumption. Within that corridor, there's also 8 vacant establishments there. This corridor also conforms with residential. There are 13 individual residents there. 12 of them are occupied and 1 of them are vacant. Along the lines of this corridor, both to the west and to the east of it, there are low-income houses as well as a trailer park. And as we all know, that Albany State consists of most of that property to the northern portion of it. During all alcohol license, what we do is we sit and we watch the establishment to see what type of traffic is coming in and out of the establishment. For this establishment, it is a bait and tackle store. The most business that we have observed there was repair of boats, as well as individuals purchasing bait to go fishing. That's all I have.
So this is a outline of your view of the general character of the neighborhood?
Yes, sir.
And this is for a beer package license?
Yes, sir, off premises.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ms. Messer, do you have any questions you want to ask the marshal?
No, not right at this time. He's done his job good.
All right. Well, now it's your opportunity to offer whatever you'd like to offer to the Board of Commissioners.
Well, I just wanted to sell alcohol to consumers because they asked, you know, when they come in and buy bait if we have any. And I told them I haven't got my license yet to sell. So I told them it's in the process of getting one. And they say, well, we'd like to buy it all at one time with the bait so they don't have to stop 2 or 3 times down the road, you know, to get beer to take with them to go fishing.
All right. Well, thank you, ma'am. Do you have any comments you want to make on Marshall Norman's description of the general character of the neighborhood? No other items he mentioned? Do you have any comment about it?
I do know that there is a bar across the street from me that sells, you know, liquor and beer and stuff, but you know, I don't know really what else to say.
All right. Well, thank you for your time and your interest. Mayor, if any of the members have questions or it's appropriate for a motion.
Mayor Pro Tem, any questions?
I have no question at this time.
Commissioner Fuller?
No, sir.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No, sir.
Commissioner Warmington?
Mr. Norman, just one general question, you know, of your description of the area with the other 6 establishments, the 8 vacant, 13 residents. Do you believe this liquor license would be in the best interest of the welfare and health of this community?
As it relates to local law and state law, it conforms to all those things. Do I think that it would be a drain on this neighborhood? No, I do not. That's pretty much where my position.
Okay. That's all I had.
Thank you.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No questions.
Commissioner Young?
Good afternoon, Ms. Meyer. How are you? Hello? Can
Hello.
you hear me? Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. I just wanted to ask you, you said that, you know, your customers talked about, I guess, the convenience of getting beer. You do know that there are several alcohol establishments within less than a quarter mile, one probably being a little less than 500 feet away, up at the mini mart that's right near Albany State. You have the Flash Foods down the street. You also have the I guess, you know, if they wanted to go to Big Daddy's Liquor, which is, you know, again, less than a mile away. So I guess I'm just trying to say that, you know, in this particular area of Radium Springs, it's not that hard to get alcohol. And I understand, you know, people want convenience, but again, you know, convenience leads to, you know, other issues for that community. Of course, we have Albany State right across the street. We have, you know, poor community right there to the back of your boat, well, the old boat store there. And there has been, you know, again, several, you know, crime issues in that particular neighborhood. And I would ask you, as I asked Ms. Taylor, would there be anything else that you could do in terms of selling in your particular store that would you know, substitute for, you know, the income that would be gained by selling alcohol?
Well, we do sell a lot of things in here, bait and everything, you know, they just want to do it as one stop. They buy ice, they buy their bait, they buy their poles and all that, and they just want to be able to buy a beer or two and take it with them to a pond or wherever they're going. They're not going to be drinking on the premises at all. And they will be know, they will know that nothing to be opened up on the premises at all, at any time. It has to be taken off. So they do know that. We have been telling them for 2 years that when we do get it, the license, that they'll have to take it off the premises. And they all, most of them's agreed, and they've been really good, same customers. We have the same customers all the time come in, and they know, and it's not young kids that come in very much. It's mostly the elderly, from anywhere from like 35 to 65, maybe 85, you know, that the range of people, you know, that come in and buy their bait. And I just want to be, you know, like just a one-stop shop and get all their bait, get all their stuff, and let them pack their ice chests and let them go go fishing. Because I know when I go fishing, I pack my ice chest. I want to do it all in one spot and get ready and go. I don't like to stop at 2 or 3 different places to get my beer or get my ice, or, you know, I'm ready to go fishing. You know, I love to fish. And I do, we do get, our hours are from 7 to 6 at night on Monday through Saturday. Sundays we're open from 7 to 5. I know that I cannot sell it on Sunday at all because I'm in the city limits. I do know that. Mm-hmm. And so we're not open way late. The bars open up across the street from us at 5 o'clock. So after 6 o'clock, they don't come here. They go over to wherever else. But during the day, you know, they'd like to get their beer and go on out the door and be happy. That's all I'm asking, is to be able to sell them, you know, the beer and let them go on their way fishing.
Mm-hmm. And another question I have for you is, you remember Mr. Clark's Bait House that was around the corner on Moultrie Road?
Yes, I do. I used to go down there and drink beer myself years ago.
Yeah.
Yes, I know Mr. Clark.
Well, you know,
very well.
Right. Mm-hmm. And I was a customer there as well. Now, you remember that Mr. Clark had his bait house separate from where he sold beer. It was, you know, 2 separate buildings.
I know.
And you know, I know that's, you know, splitting hairs as far as convenience, but, you know, I guess, you know, here's, I guess, where the
curb stores sell bait, and they got beer in theirs. What's the difference between them selling crickets and worms and stuff close to Fred's over there, and they got they got beer right there in their store, and the crickets and the worms, and I don't understand what's the difference between the curb store that sells the bait and me selling bait and just going to have, you know, beer, just start to sell beer. I don't understand what's the difference.
Well, the difference is again, it's the, like with Ms. Taylor, it's the location where you're located. I think you're talking about the store that's on the corner of Philema and Jefferson. That's a well out of a residential neighborhood. It's actually a commercial area, and I used to go through there as well to get my tackle and everything when I went fishing. So that's the issue with these. I guess these particular locations is that these are now fully residential neighborhoods. Your particular one with the college right across the street, and that's kind of where we are. And it's I'll put it this way: I'm not just saying these things happenstance. There is true research that shows when you have a number of places that sell alcohol in very dense area, and again, you're talking about at least 6 places within a mile of each other that sell alcohol. You get higher crime, you get higher juvenile delinquency, you get higher domestic violence. All of those categories go up the more you locate alcohol outlets within that particular range, especially near a poor, struggling neighborhood. That's what we experience when we put all these things together. That's what's happening now for this particular area. So again, it's no slight to you or anybody who else who also wants to be in business. It's just those are the things that we know are true based on research, based on what we experience. And like I said, I would like to offer you the opportunity to sit down and just figure out something else that would add to your business, that would add to the community, that we could come up with. And again, there are resources that the city of Albany has to allow you to do that. Even maybe in terms of I don't know if we're still doing the facade grant. I used to ride my bike past your location, going to class every day to Albany State. So I think we could even offer you some help, making that store bake shop look nicer if it would, help, attract more customers to there. But that's what it is, and that's kind of the bottom line. And if I could ask Mr. Norman on this other issue, Mr. Norman, can you tell me, are business people guaranteed a license when they come into your office to fill out a form?
No, sir. Each applicant is always made aware that this is preliminary and it has to be approved by the mayor and board of commissioners.
Okay, so any, I guess, assumption that the business owner has that he or she will get a license just because they fill out a form, they should understand that that's a business risk that they're taking once they fill out that application and pay their fees?
They are aware that this office does the investigative portion of it and make a recommendation to the mayor and board of commissioners. And that's all. All decisions lie with the mayor and board of commissioners.
So they should reasonably understand that this is a risk that they won't get that alcohol license.
Yes, sir.
It's reasonable to assume that. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Need to ask Mr. Norman a question. Can you hear me, Mr. Norman?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Norman, you said based on your investigation, let me ask a question that may need to consider when a person applied for alcohol license, things of that nature, and based on the area, you don't do no type of, let's say if you got the Minimark and this applicant that close together, do you do investigation within like a 500 some yard radius of the area to look and see that, not saying you're going to try to manipulate or influence this person, that this may not be a conducive area, but in your earlier statement, you said that you think based on the need that this is a sewer place that it would need, you feel confident that it will be there. And looking at, as my colleague from the 6th Ward stated, that there are about 6 or 7 alcohol licenses start from East Broad all the way down past to Harvest at some establishment. And the question, I was a little concerned, but I'm not too sure because Commissioner from the 6th Ward and I share the same, that's where we sort of overlap each other. Did you find out what ward that was in?
Which location? Are we still talking about the hearing location?
Yes, sir. Right, 922.
Yes, sir. It's Ward 1.
Now that's on the very fringe of Ward 6 now.
Yes, sir. I'm aware of it. The wards are confirmed by planning. So we go to planning for the ward and the zoning information.
Okay.
And according to the maps that we have, it also falls at Ward 1.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Ms. Messer or Officer Norman? With that, do we take a vote, or what's the proper procedure?
We can't hear you, Nathan. Please unmute.
Oh, yeah. I keep doing that. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's ready for a motion, one way or the other, and a formal vote. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Ms. City Manager.
Is there a motion one way or the other?
I make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mayor Pro Tem.
Second that motion.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Mayor Pro Tem.
To say is looking at the section 6-74 of the city code under subsection 9 for a location not suitable in the judgment discretion of the Board of Commissioners because of traffic congestion, general character, neighborhood, or by reason effect which its establishment would have on the adjacent and surrounding property on the neighborhood. I just wanted that in a minute.
Any further discussion? Commissioner Fuller?
No, sir.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No, sir.
Commissioner Worthington?
Mr. Norman, in your description of the area, the 8 vacant establishments, do you remember what those were or had been or what they might be or could have been?
Yes, sir. The first one is 1412 Raven Springs. It used to be the old Millennium Mall. 924 Raven Springs used to be a trailer and truck yard. 102 Raven Springs. That I don't have a statement for that one. 928 Raven Springs used to be Easy Tire. 938 Raven Springs used to be a strip mall. 1000 Raven Springs used to be right there at the corner. 1001 Raven Springs is a white seafood. And 800 Raven Springs is the old Pop's detail shop.
All right, and then the 6 current establishments selling alcohol. How many of those were, I guess, the same application as this? And how many are on-site consumption? I think you said there were 6.
Yes, sir. There are 3 of them that's off premises. That's in the same character as this one we're discussing, which is Woodall's at 261 East Oglethorpe, College Corner at 230 East Oglethorpe, and then Quick Way Food Mart at 700 Raven Springs Road.
And then what were the other 3?
The other 3 is on-premise consumption. That's not the same category as this one.
Right.
And that would be Big Daddy's Lounge at 300 East Broad Avenue, DJ's Bar and Grill at 1001 Raven Springs Road, and Sand Trap at 1412 Raven Springs Road.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Is that all, Commissioner Warburton? Commissioner Langstaff?
Nothing.
Commissioner Young?
Yes, sir. I would just like to, to say to Commission that, again, we need to at some point have whatever consideration for the overall health of the community drive these particular decisions. I know, we have, multiple business owners on the commission, and we know small businesses are very important to our community, but we are experiencing the problems that we have in our community based on not making smart decisions about what we allow to proliferate in our community. And letting alcohol outlets proliferate means that crime proliferates. proliferates. It means juvenile issues, crime and violence proliferate. And at some point, we have to hold the line. I really do, feel for business women who have come forward to, try to, expand their businesses. But again, these businesses are not located in the proper place for it to be a good fit for the community. And I hope that we are making these considerations when we say we want, the Good Life City to be the Good Life City. That's it, man.
Thank you, Commissioner Young. I would just like to say that because I support granting these licenses in no way is an indication of a disregard for the individuals who live in close proximity to these establishments. In point of fact, I want to make a point that I've made before. We're talking about off-premises consumption. We're talking about a beer license. We're not talking about opening up another liquor store. I think we need to do whatever we can to assist businesses in their efforts to survive. But I also want to say that in the last few weeks, I've been thinking very near this property on residents. I think we need to make that a location where we start demolishing dilapidated properties. We can make a real difference there in a short period of time. I truly believe that. I visited that area a few weeks, back in March, right before the pandemic started, and actually have talked to Mr. Carter about it. But also tonight, we're going to be voting on renovation for Bill Miller Center. So it's not a situation at all, however this vote goes, that I am indifferent to the residents in this neighborhood. In point of fact, I think the city can and should do more. But I just happen to disagree with some of my colleagues on the impact that granting a beer license to either or both of these businesses would have on the community. And having said that,
Mayor, can I say something?
Yes, ma'am.
Please. But first of all, I absolutely applaud you for making that statement, because sometimes we do things I just don't think it's business friendly. So thank you for saying that. But I do want to remind everyone, Mr. John Howard, you just talked about safety of neighborhoods and what you wanted to do in the future. Savoy, which is owned by Representative Winfred Dukes, there's talk that's going to open back up, and I'm fairly certain that alcohol license has elapsed. Mr. Norman, am I correct on that?
He doesn't have an alcohol license. It's an event center.
Okay, but I'm saying if he goes to open it back up and as a nice restaurant or something, there will be an alcohol license brought to this table. So I just want everyone to, keep in mind when we talk about neighborhoods, he's awful close to these places. And again, thank you, Mayor, because that was excellent what you said. Thank you, sir.
Well, having spoken, would someone else like to respond? I mean, I don't want to speak and then call for a vote. Nobody have the chance to. Any other commissioner want to speak further? With that, there's been a motion and a second to approve this application. We'll have a roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem? Commissioner Fuller?
Yes.
Commissioner Fletcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Worthington?
No.
Commissioner Langstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
No.
The mayor votes yes, and the application is granted. The next item on the agenda is, are we talking about the solicitor? We are amending the code requirements for the public defender and the solicitor in municipal court. Who is speaking to that, please?
I've got that item. Yes, sir. This is to, there have been discussions previously, I think, as well as at the retreat, that maybe the requirements were a little strenuous as far as age and years of experience. So this would provide for 1 year's trial experience and 25 years of age.
By way of background, the commissioner may remember Judge Weaver spoke to us, and he related the difficulty he was having in securing attorneys to fill this position, and he made the recommendation that the requirements of 5 years and 30 years of age be reduced.
Mayor, I'd like to offer the ordinance and ask for unanimous consent to dispense with the second reading, ask for its adoption.
Do I have a second? Okay, and is there any discussion? Mayor Pro Tem.
I think he's muted.
There you go. Who will do the screening of the applicant?
Yeah, I can speak to that if you like.
Yes, ma'am.
What happens is the HR will do the screening for the minimum qualifications and then send the applications to the board. I believe 2 applications have been sent to you for each position. Not sure if you've had an opportunity to look at them, but I believe you'd have to make this change in order to consider either of those applicants.
Commissioner Fuller, you have any questions or comments regarding this item?
No, sir.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No, sir.
Commissioner Warmington?
No, sir.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No.
Commissioner Young?
No.
With that, we'll call the question. Mayor Pro Tem? Commissioner Fuller?
Yes.
Commissioner Fletcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Warmington?
Yes.
Commissioner Langstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Mayor votes yes. So the resolution is adopted.
Ordinance.
Ordinance, that's what I said. The ordinance is adopted. I'm sorry. The next item, a proposal to increase the city millage rate regarding blighted property. Commissioner Warmington made this proposal. Will Commissioner Warmington be speaking on this proposal?
No, I offer the ordinance and ask for unanimous consent to dispense with the second reading, ask for its adoption.
Mayor Pro Tem, second. And now, is there any discussion regarding this ordinance, proposed ordinance? Mr. Warmington, would you like to give an explanation, or we have discussed it?
Yeah, I think we discussed it at length. So it's essentially taking the blight tax from 3 times to 6 times.
Okay. Any other discussion? Mayor Pro Tem.
Mayor, can I make one comment?
Yes.
Commissioner Langstaff had asked me to check with GMA, and I did speak with Rishi Patel, the general counsel, and one of his staff attorneys, and they felt very comfortable with going to the 6, and even talked about 7, 8, 9. And so I just wanted to let y'all know I complied with Commissioner Langstaff's instructions and wanted to put that in the record. Thank you. And thank you for your interest, Commissioner Langstaff.
Mayor, my only question, I guess, is for Mr. Davis. I mean, do you feel like you have the staffing and things what you need to pursue these properties? I estimate there's 20 to 25 that can be immediately started to be worked on.
It'll be a challenge because we have the nuisance abatement cases also, and then when the paperwork comes in from code for these issues, like it does for the abatement cases, we'll just have to see. But we're excited about. We do have a template to go by, and as far as, the petition that's served on the property owner. So I think that's a basic outline. We'll just have to see how it goes. May need one more.
Yeah.
Staff, so.
And I would ask the same list of the demolition. Maybe we can have a second sheet that's got the list of the ones that we're pursuing the blighted tax, so we can kind of keep it in front of us of what's being pursued.
Anybody's interested in a copy of the final order, just let me know. Thank you so much.
If we can go back, Commissioner Fuller,
No questions.
Commissioner Fletcher,
No questions.
Commissioner Warburton,
I'm good.
Commissioner Langstaff,
No questions.
Commissioner Young.
We're good.
Okay, I just want to repeat what I have said previously. I think what we need to do is be enforcing this blight tax, whether it's 3 times the millage rate or 6 times the millage rate. I have made the comment somewhat sarcastically, we could make it 1,000 times the millage rate, but if we're not going to enforce it, it doesn't amount to a row of pins. And I would ask, Commissioner Warburton's made the point that he has identified some properties that he thinks would qualify for this blight tax, and I would ask all commissioners to identify properties in his or her ward that might be subject to the blight tax, because I think once we start really enforcing this thing uniformly, we're going to get some response. The whole objective is this thing to keep people from letting the property get in this condition. So, Mayor Pro Tem.
Is he on mute?
There you go. Okay. Can you hear me? Yep. Nathan, would this also apply to residential and commercial property also?
It does not apply to residential property that's, used by a family.
Okay.
I believe that the definition is in the ordinance. A dwelling house which is used as a primary residence is not eligible to be classified like this.
Okay.
Thanks for asking. Good question.
But apartment units.
Oh, yes, sir.
So it's multi-family.
Yeah. Yes, sir. They would be.
Anything from a duplex up.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further comments? If not, we'll call the question. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Commissioner Fuller?
Yes.
Commissioner Fletcher?
Don't turn it off. Don't turn it off.
I can't hear it.
Commissioner Fletcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Warburton?
Yes.
Commissioner Langstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Mayor votes yes. The ordinance passes. I just hope we will enforce it. The next item is the first reading of a proposed change to the charter, which would alter the date on which the mayor and city commissioner should be paid. Is Mr. Brown present?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Okay, would you like to speak to this?
Yes, I know one thing you asked me to go ahead and pursue was the cost. We did get a cost back from the consultant that the implementation cost would be $5,300 to put the program in place, and the annual reoccurring cost for us would be a little bit over $700. So you're looking at $6,000 the first year, then $732,000. I'm sorry, $732 annually after that. And I think there was some discussion right at the end. I think where it was agreed upon to do it the fourth Thursday of the month, but I think Commissioner Langstaff suggested or asked about, could we just having to state the same pay date as the retirees are paid. I don't know if that's possible. I know that it's not drawn up that way now, but I didn't know if that was still under consideration or not.
Yes, sir. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Brown? Mayor Pro Tem? Commissioner Fuller?
No, sir, I don't have any questions, but I do think that makes sense to have that on the same day as the retirees.
Okay.
If I could interrupt, Mayor, I think it is set up for the fourth Thursday of each month.
Yeah, that's the way it reads on page 26 in the package. It says fourth Thursday of each month. Commissioner Fletcher?
I'm good with it. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Warrington?
No comments.
Commissioner Langstaff?
Yeah, my suggestion had been to not do a particular date, but just to say that it's going to be at the same time that retirees are paid. So if theirs is ever changed, then ours would change automatically. That I think that's what Derek Brown was getting at. Is that's the difference, is that we're picking a specific day of the month instead of just having it be the same as however the pensioners are paid. I mean, that would be my suggestion. I'd like to hear if anybody has any problem with that. That just seems the most workable, easy method.
Well, if you want to make a motion, you could make a motion. Do you have your package in front of you? Sir?
That's all I had.
Yeah, but I said, do you have your package in front of you?
I do.
Okay, if you want to make the motion, I would think the best way to do it would be to make the proposal with the language that you're suggesting.
I guess I would offer a friendly amendment.
Okay, let's can I ask Commissioner Young to speak first? If he has any comments or questions?
Certainly.
Okay, Commissioner Young?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Mr. Brown, what I guess kind of precipitated the move toward moving this? Was it just something that you all needed to make more efficient administratively, or save some money? Tell me again, what was that about?
Well, the mayor brought to our attention that we were not paying according to the ordinance, the way it is currently written.
The charter.
The charter. And so when I went back and looked, as far as I could go back, which was 1993, we've never paid the board, at least in the time that I could find, the last 27 years anyway, we haven't paid that way. But since in the last 13 years, we have been paying at the same time the retirees get paid. So when the retirees charter, then the board members have the same day. And so when we looked at it, we thought it would be more cost effective just to change the charter as to adding an additional payroll to our staff. This would add a fourth payroll, so we just thought it would be more cost effective at the charter change as opposed to adding an additional payroll.
Okay, so when you all made the change, it just there was no change made to the charter. So now we're trying to change the charter to fit the pay schedule.
Right, the schedule that's been going on at least 27 years. You know, in our accounting system, I can go back to 1993, and the board hasn't been paid on the first day of the month since 1993 at least. I can't go back any further than that. So at some point, it was changed from the first day of the month, but the charter was never changed to reflect that. I don't know how far it goes back, but whenever that change was precipitated at some point, then the charter wasn't changed to reflect that.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Brown, my observation here, I think it was kind of upside down for staff to, when I identified the problem, said, well, we're going to keep doing the way we've been doing it. But one thing I want to say is the pay raise came into effect. I came off the commission in 2008, and that is exactly when this pay raise came into effect. So the charter actually said the first day of the month, effective at least by 2008. So the change has been my position from day one, should have been made by staff, and rather than staff coming to the commission to say, well, the charter doesn't comply with the way we're running things. But with that, I'll go back to Commissioner Langstaff, and what I was suggesting, Commissioner Langstaff, if you have your package in front of you, if you want to change and make a motion so that this proposal would read as you suggested, the corresponding with the payment of the retirees.
Well, I guess I offer a friendly amendment to the motion that we make the date of payment.
Nobody's made a motion yet. That's what I was saying.
Coincide with.
Oh, excuse me. Nobody's made a motion.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was saying if you want to make that motion.
That's fine. Nathan, how should the form of it read?
Package on the third line beginning monthly installments, and it now has in bold, it shows the fourth Thursday. That would be changed to say monthly installments on the same schedule as retirees. Would that fit your thing okay, Derek?
Yes, sir, it would.
Okay.
With that change, I'll offer the ordinance and ask unanimous consent to dispense with second reading and ask for its adoption.
Second.
And there'll be notices put in the paper and notice over to the Superior Court clerk, and then a formal vote next month.
So, Commissioner Langstaff, you can't dispense with the second reading.
Okay.
All right, you want to make that up?
Yeah, I revise my motion accordingly.
I second the revised motion.
The mayor appears to be, can't hear him.
The revised motion, as I understand it, is to change the charter so that section 3E will read, each member of the Board of Commissioners of the City of Albany, except the mayor, shall receive a salary of $15,000 per annum payable in monthly installments on the same day that the city retirees are paid. Is that right, Mr. Davis? On the same schedule as city retirees are paid. The mayor of the City of Albany shall receive a salary of $25,000 per annum payable in monthly installments on the same schedule as city retirees. Is that correct, Commissioner Langstaff?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion? Yes, Commissioner Warburton.
I don't know if we were going around the horn or not.
Yeah, we're going.
This is for Mr. Davis. Mr. Davis, if we were not to pass this tonight, would you advise staff to change our pay schedule or just keep doing what we've been doing for the last ever how many years?
Well, that's a tough question. I would think changing the charter is appropriate myself.
What?
Nathan.
Oh, I did it again. Okay. Is that it? Got it now?
So my question is, if the desire of the board ends up being that we don't approve this, what would be the action from that?
Well, I don't think there'd be any action. I think that the checks would still be cut like they're being cut now.
So we don't technically have to change this to keep the status quo.
Well, I think but the charter is, your basic document. So again,
and so for following the letter of the law, there's probably 10 other items in the charter, 15 other items in the charter that were out of compliance.
maybe not out of compliance, but things you don't do anymore have arbitrage, and there's a bunch of provisions in there that are maybe dormant by themselves, not no violation, or I'll call it, but the charter obviously needs a lot of pruning and updating. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, that's it.
Did I ask Commissioner Fuller if he had any comments? He said, and I got to
no comment.
Warburton. I thought you did too. Commissioner Fletcher?
None.
Okay. Commissioner Langstaff?
None.
Commissioner Young?
I'm good.
Okay. Call the vote. Mayor Pro Tem? Commissioner Fuller?
Yes.
Commissioner Fletcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Warmington?
No.
Commissioner Langstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
Mayor votes no, and so the first reading passes. Next item. Demolition budget amendment, is that correct? Is that the next item?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that would be Mr. Brown and Chief Pursley are speaking to that.
Yes, I think Chief Pursley covered that primarily in his presentation, so I'll defer to him at this time if there's any comments.
Okay. Chief?
Evening, Mayor, Commissioners. This was asking for an additional $200,000 to be allocated to finish out projects for this fiscal year. And those are the projects that should have been received by the commissioners, along with yourself, along with maps of blighted properties within the city of Albany, sir.
I got my map. I appreciate it. There's a lot of property on there. So we're asking for an ordinance to amend the budget is essentially what we're doing here. Is that right, Ms. City Manager?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Does any member of the commission have questions for the chief? Mayor Pro Tem? Commissioner Fuller?
No, sir.
Mr. Fletcher?
No, sir.
Commissioner Warmington?
Nope.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No.
Commissioner Young?
No, sir.
And the mayor, and this just confirming, Ms. Ubadan, these funds will come from reserves?
Yes, sir.
Okay. With that, do we have would member of the commission like to make offer the ordinance?
Yeah, I'll offer the ordinance and ask for unanimous consent to dispense with the second reading and ask for its adoption.
Second.
Mayor Pro Tem was the second. He beat you to it, Mr. Fuller. Okay. With that, we'll have a roll call vote. Mayor Pro Tem? Commissioner Fuller,
Yes.
Commissioner Fletcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Worthington,
Yes.
Commissioner Langstaff,
Yes.
Commissioner Young,
Yes.
and the mayor votes yes. The ordinance passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is a request to authorize funds from SPLOST 7 for the renovation of Bill Miller and Henderson gyms. I think this is really two items, isn't it? Ms. Subadan, is this one item or two items?
Sorry, I thought you were talking to the city clerk, deputy clerk. Is this the one where I think it's one resolution. Yeah, it's one resolution.
Okay. I guess since you have one contract.
That is correct, with one contractor.
Okay. Any questions? Is Ms. Fields with us? Mr. Gray, Mr. Holmes?
Should be on.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Hello, Ms. Fields. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Fields or either Mr. Gray or Mr. Holmes, Mayor Pro Tem? Mr. Fuller?
No, sir.
Mr. Fletcher?
No, sir.
Mr. Warmington?
No. Maybe this is a point of order. Mr. Davis, is it permissible to offer a motion for all 7 items?
You can do that.
Okay.
You can do that.
Okay. I may do that in a minute.
Okay. Commissioner Langstaff?
No questions.
Commissioner Young?
No questions.
Okay, my only concern here is that we were talking about the entrance to mirror what they have at Thornton Gym. Can we just do that as an add-on, Ms. Subadan?
I checked with Yvette, and because of the amount of what we anticipate the cost, and because the topography is different than at Thornton, there may be some re-engineering required. So we're going to go out for bid for that separately, but we can move forward with this interior renovation while the procurement is ongoing for the remainder of the work.
Okay, and that's good. I was looking through the 2006 Recreation Master Plan, and that was one concern, that you had unrestricted access to these gyms. And so clearly, if that was identified 15 years ago, it's something that we need to address. But also, I would like us to have a site plan for these. I think at Bill Miller, that isn't Malone Park right there, Mayor Pro Tem? Isn't there a park right by Bill Miller? Yes. And at Henderson as well, there's a park. I think now is the time to go ahead and get a site plan for both these two properties.
If we have a landscape plan.
Well, it's a site plan where they go in there and they tell us where everything is and what else we could do to maximize the utilization of the properties.
All right, that's a little bit more than a site plan.
Okay.
You probably need to be more specific. You want like a mini master plan for each?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
The site plan would be the layout.
Okay. Well, let's just get the site plan to maximize. You know, I think if we did some minor earthwork and some plantings, but certainly at Bill Miller, I mean, it's not attractive from the road, and I think there's a lot more we can do with it. Maybe just by cleaning out some brush between the street and the facility. But let's do that, and if it ends up, well, why don't we find out? Get some proposals.
A landscape proposal for
yes, ma'am.
Yes, we intend to do that.
Okay, let's do that, because If we're going to maintain these facilities, we need to make them something the city's proud of and not embarrassed of. With that,
I wanted to ask, what's the land? We were talking about Henderson, right? The landscaping.
Both properties.
Okay. Well, I wanted to speak specifically to the entrance coming off of Oak Ridge at Henderson.
Right.
If maybe if there was some signage out there front, because you barely hardly recognize that that's the entrance to the front of that building unless you've been there before. It almost seems like you're driving off into that canal when you turn that way. So maybe something with some signage and to go along with the landscaping.
Well, I think one thing, if I don't know if other members of the commission have had an opportunity to look at that 2006 master plan, that is a recommendation throughout the master plan, is having consistent and attractive signage for Albany parks and recreation, which is something we don't have, but I think we need to have a consistent image with everything throughout our facilities.
Yeah, with every renovation that we do put in new signage, and it is consistent. And we do a landscape plan, and we won't treat these any differently. We will absolutely do that.
Well, what I'm saying is we need some other look. I mean, you're talking about the sign with the building and the line that you have, the City of Albany. Is that what you have on the recreation facilities? The logo?
We can bring it to you and show you what we have.
Yeah. I mean, let's see it. And I mean, people can do remarkable things with imagery. And I think we just need to look at it now, particularly if we're investing these funds in these two facilities. Okay. So, Commissioner Warmington, were you going to move the consent agenda? Is that what we were talking about?
Yeah. If we're at the point of offering, I would like to offer the 7 resolutions that's in our agenda packet. All have been discussed in prior business meetings, and ask for all 7 adoptions.
Okay. I forgot how you move the consent agenda. Do you have to have obviously you have to have a second. Do we have a second?
Second.
For discussion. Okay. So now at this point in time, any commissioner can ask to move any of these items off the consent agenda, or any member of the commissioner can discuss any of these 7 items. Is that correct, Mr. Davis? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Couple things. One of them is, this is technically a consent agenda because they all have resolutions. As I understand it, you can move to approve resolutions 1 through whichever. But I did want to point out, and I think you may want to speak specifically to items 6 and 7, which you haven't really discussed before in a work session. So maybe you could consider doing 1 through 5, Commissioner Warmington, and then speak to 6 and 7 since they're conditional.
Yeah, I'll modify my offer and change it to 1 through 5 resolutions and ask for their adoption.
Can't hear you, Mayor.
I asked Mayor Pro Tem if that was acceptable, and he seconded the motion as amended. So before the commission now on the consent agenda are items 1 through 5. And we'll ask for any comments, questions on these items. And if any commissioner wants to remove either one of these items from the consent agenda, I think that's his or her right. Mayor Pro Tem?
No.
Commissioner Fuller?
No.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No.
Commissioner Warmington?
No.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No questions.
Commissioner Young?
No.
So with that, we are now voting, as I understand, on items 1 through 5. Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes.
Commissioner Fuller?
Yes.
Commissioner Fletcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Warmington?
Yes.
Commissioner Langstaff?
Yes.
Commissioner Young?
Yes.
The mayor votes yes.
Did we need to, I guess, at least name those items for the people who are listening that don't have an agenda in front of them?
Okay. Would you like me to read them, or the clerk to read them?
That's fine, whichever way.
Ms. Kelly, would you read those items 1 through 5? Yeah, should have read them before we called them for a vote.
Somebody must be on mute if they're talking.
Okay. Number 1 is a resolution entitled authorizing the use of SPLOST 7 funds for renovation of Bill Miller and Henderson gyms. Number 2, authorizing the filing of an application with the Department of Transportation, United States of America, and Georgia Department of Transportation for a grant under Title 49 USC Section 5303. Number 3 is a resolution entitled approving a voting delegate for the City of Albany to the Georgia Municipal Association's 2020 Annual Virtual Convention on June 29th through July the 2nd, 2020. The 4th is a resolution entitled to accept CARES Act Grant Award hereinafter CARES Grant from the Georgia Department of Transportation hereinafter DOT for Albany Transit. Then there's another resolution that accept the CARES Act Grant Award hereinafter CARES Grant from the U.S. Department of Transportation, Federal Aviation Administration for the Southwest Georgia Regional Airport. Then the next one is a resolution entitled authorizing use of $350,000 in CDBG funds and $350,000 of fund balance to assist local independent businesses that have been adversely impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly. Is that sufficient, Commissioner Young?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. And the only reason I asked to do that is because we do have a lot of small business owners who were looking specifically for us to approve the small business relief program. We have a lot of folks looking forward to that so that we can help them get back on their feet and most of all, help them put in the safety implementations that will allow them to hopefully stay safe throughout the remainder of this pandemic and be in business and protect their customers.
Thank you. I'm sorry, ma'am.
Unmute.
There's actually 6 resolutions instead of 5. There's 2 that go with number 4.
You read both of those?
Yes, I did.
Ms. Kelly just pointed out that there are actually 6 resolutions. There were 2 awards, one from the FAA for the airport and one there for the FTA for Albany Transit. And now we have 2 items on the agenda, 2 that are conditional items. If any commissioner wants them removed, we will discuss that. But I can tell you the first item is the county commission has already enacted an ordinance. They want to make it a joint ordinance encouraging citizens of Albany and Dougherty County to wear face masks while in public. I think that's appropriate. What I've learned a lot in the last few weeks, and by this point in time, there's really no question in the scientific community that one of the best ways to prevent community transmission of COVID-19 is for individuals to wear face masks while in public or some other covering. And this, of course, would not be binding, but it would be a statement of support from the commission, and we would be joining our colleagues on the county commission. Before we offer the resolution, I'll give everybody a chance to speak to it. Mayor Pro Tem.
My concern is that can it be enforced by the Dougherty County Police Department or the city police department, or just a facade we're just gonna do?
Well, it's just a recommendation.
Okay.
So Commissioner Fuller?
No comment.
Commissioner Fletcher?
No comment.
Commissioner Worthington?
No comment.
Commissioner Langstaff?
No comment.
Commissioner Young?
Yes, sir. Did we confirm that we were unable to draw up a binding ordinance, or did we just assume that the governor's ordinance superseded ours?
Well, I guess Mr. Davis can speak to that, but the executive order basically says local government cannot take any action that's inconsistent with the terms of the executive order. As a lawyer, I think you could argue that taking more stringent measures is not inconsistent, but I don't think that's the position that the governor's office is taking with the executive order. But I'm just expressing my opinion. And now, if you'd like to hear from a real lawyer, we'll let Mr. Davis opine on that.
Well, with all due respect, Mayor, the governor has that state statute, I'll say behind him, that specifically says, as you mentioned, you cannot, it would not be enforceable if it's more than the governor has set out there. So thank you. And good question.
One thing, Commissioner Young, at one of those press conferences, the governor expressly stated no local government could take any action which is any more or any less stringent than this executive order. So that's clearly the position that the governor has taken.
Are we able to, I guess, enforce any rules in terms of governmental building?
Well, that's actually the next item on the agenda, and we don't want to conflate them. But I mean, this is just a joint resolution encouraging the public to wear. But the next item I think is going to be a little more problematic for us. But with that, any other comments, Commissioner Young?
No, sir.
Okay. Does any commissioner have any objection to to vote, taking action on this item with the understanding that we have not previously considered it? Assuming there is no objection, I'll offer the ordinance and ask for unanimous consent to dispense with the second reading and ask for its adoption. Any discussion? Mayor Pro Tem.
No discussion.
Mr. Fuller.
No, sir.
Mr. Fletcher.
No, sir.
Commissioner Worthington.
No.
Mr. Langstaff.
No.
Mr. Young.
No.
With that, we'll call the question. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes.
Commissioner Fuller.
Yes.
Commissioner Fletcher.
Yes.
Commissioner Worthington.
Yes.
Commissioner Langstaff.
Yes.
Commissioner Young.
Yes.
Mayor votes yes. We'll join the county in this resolution. The last item on the agenda, Commissioner Young, I think, alluded to it earlier. This item, and I'll let the city attorney speak to it, basically would require the public to wear mask or face coverings when entering city-owned or operated buildings. I think that includes centers and gyms and other facilities. But Mr. Davis, if you could speak to that.
Yeah, GMA has sent out some material on this and feels like there is authority for local government-owned facilities to enforce. The other one was, not tied to government-owned assets, and this one is. And GMA feels like it is appropriate and doesn't violate the provisions that give the governor certain powers. Thank you.
Okay. Does any member of the commission have any objection to us taking action on this tonight, insofar as we have not previously considered or discussed this item? Hearing no objection, Mayor Pro Tem, any questions or comments?
Please unmute.
It would include this building here too, right?
Yes.
So this ordinance, is it in coincide with the county? Because who would say this is a city building or a county building?
County building, and the sheriff has been enforcing all of the executive orders, setting out what was essential services and whatever. So I understand the county has been in charge of that.
Okay, that's it.
Thanks. Good question. Thank you.
Well, I don't know if the question's been answered.
I don't know if the question's been answered. Mayor Pro Tem, I mean, if this isn't a city building, it's a county building, has the county taken any stand on this issue?
Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
This is a joint resolution with the city and the county for city and county-owned buildings. So I'm assuming, should you pass it, then it would be sent over to the county for their consideration?
Okay. Mr. Cohilas had signed the first one, and he's not, which indicates they'd already taken action on the first one, but not this. So, okay, we will be the first body to take action on this, I assume. Commissioner Fuller.
Yes.
I mean, any questions about, I'm sorry, we haven't voted on it yet. Any questions or comments?
I was taking it for a vote. No questions.
You're ahead of us, but maybe I'm handling this thing wrong. Commissioner Fletcher.
No questions.
Commissioner Warmington.
Yes. So any city county building, so that does not include parks, outdoor areas that are owned by city county. Is that, I mean, it's the first time I've read this, so I'm trying to read it quickly as we're talking about it.
That's the way I read it, what you just said.
It specifically says buildings. Nathan, please unmute.
So like our golf courses are, so you wear the mask into the clubhouse, but you don't have to wear it while you're playing golf?
That's correct.
All right, and what about gyms, like Thor Gym or any other place of exercise?
That's a building to me.
Any other questions?
I guess not.
Commissioner Langstaff?
Nothing.
Commissioner Young?
No, sir.
Okay. I had two comments. I think Commissioner Warburton was alluding to it earlier. One thing, I've found that if you're really actively exercising, your respiration gets up and it makes it real difficult to breathe. So if we have people playing basketball in a center, they're not going to be able to play basketball with a mask on. So we need to maybe understand that. But the other thing, on the conference call, I sent y'all the email out today, Commissioner Toomey. We know that Governor Kemp has adopted the recommendation of the CDC. Governor Kemp did not, however, see fit to make it a requirement that the public wear face coverings, as I think 8 states have done. But be that as it may, I just want to say this. I'm supportive of the resolution. But one comment that some businesses made, and Ms. Subadan can speak to this, to the Mask Up Albany Committee, I think they were relieved that there was no requirement that individuals not wear masks because of some of the unfortunate and altercations, but we've seen in other places in the country of some people who are, for whatever reason, emphatic about not wearing a mask. And we need to understand that city staff, particularly at Water, Gas, and Light, if we have somebody who comes in and is irate and doesn't want to wear a mask, and I understand that person showing he or she doesn't have any concern for anybody else, even despite what precautions other people are taking to protect that person, our staff needs to be aware that we're going to have a resolution on the books requiring the members of the public to wear a mask in city-owned buildings. That's what we're doing here. What Dr. Toomey said today was that she would recommend that, I think the term she used, commercial frontline city employees, local government employees wear masks. But she also suggested that she was sort of evasive of the question about the public wearing masks. She said that's the right thing to do, but suggested that masks may be available at entrances for people who don't have on masks, and that would be one way to alleviate possible disagreements or hostility. I just put that out there. So with that,
I do have, again, I do apologize. It's the first time I'm reading this. So will we have face masks at every door and every entrance of the city and county buildings?
I don't think that decision has been made, Commissioner Warrington. What I was saying is,
it says right here.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm learning things as I'm reading here.
Okay. All right. Well, that was what Dr. Toomey recommended, so I'm glad we have that in there. So, I mean,
Mayor, I would also say to your comments about, hostile folks is that, we're trying to protect people. We're trying to protect even those folks from catching this virus. And it just seems that we keep kind of bowing to a loud vocal minority in terms of making our community safe. And those are the things that always seem to get us in trouble when we know what we're supposed to be doing, but somebody says, hey, I want to do it my way, or my way or the highway, and we all suffer for it. It's my hope that we, err on the side of caution, err on the side of, trying to keep everybody healthy. We know what we've experienced here in Albany, and I can't, I can't with good conscience tell people to show up at Water, Gas, and Light to collect fees and deal with customers if the customers are not going to, do the same. It's a reciprocal thing. You protect me, I protect you by wearing a mask. It's simple. It's not hard. It's not, unmanly. It's not unconstitutional. It's not any of that stuff. It's just about doing what we know we need to do to protect ourselves.
Thank you. Commissioner Warburton,
Yeah, so the other question is, what is the punishment, or how are we going to enforce it? Are we going to make people leave the building? We're going to issue a citation? How do we prevent the altercation if John Doe walks in the door without a mask? What are we saying we're going to do? I'm not disagreeing with, I'm just trying to put out there, if we approve this, I don't want to approve something that's not enforceable, or what is the way we're going to enforce it?
I think it's just simple enough to say, well, if you don't want to come in with a mask, you have options to pay at the drive-thru. You have options to pay online. There are other options than exposing everybody else because you want to walk around and have super immunity from the virus, or think you have super immunity from the virus. you know, you can pay on your phone. There's a lot of other options than just having to walk into a facility and potentially harm somebody else by exposing them.
I understand that. I believe Water, Gas, and Light Building is the only place we have full-time security. So even here at the government center, or whenever the other buildings begin to open, or at the golf course, how are we going to prevent a confrontation from happening? Are we expecting those employees to be a part of the enforcement? I don't know if we've asked employees that are employed in various areas to be the enforcer of this, or have we?
Mr. Warburton? Or do you?
Well, I'm just waiting for an answer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Subadan, have we thought through this?
Well, we have not asked employees to be enforcers. First, we wanted to see what your position was going to be on this. I certainly am not going to encourage confrontations. I think that we will make masks available for our for people coming into our building if they don't have a face covering. And I believe that we have the capacity to be able to do that. Again, I think it's the right thing to do. Somebody may show up and forget their mask in the car, or they ran out of the house without it, or they don't have a mask. So I think it's important for us to make it available at our city facilities. In terms of enforcement, you know, I don't think we're trying to be the mask police, but I do think that we want people to be safe. You know, and I feel a responsibility for the employees that we're bringing back to work to protect them as best we can. We have been requiring city employees to wear masks for probably 2 months now. So, you know, I think it's a reasonable request of our customer, and I don't really have an answer on enforcement. You know, I don't think the written ordinance addresses enforcement.
Does that answer your question, Commissioner Warburton?
Sure.
Okay, Commissioner Langstaff?
Nothing.
Commissioner Young?
That's it, sir.
Well, I would like to sort of respond to Commissioner Young. I don't know. My observations were certainly not that we need to reject this ordinance because some people are not going to be compliant. Because I believe we should enact the ordinance. I would suggest, however, that we put it off and maybe have a special call meeting next Tuesday. What I would like to see in here is a sanction so that a violation of this would be punishable by whatever the general violation in the city code is. Secondly, I do commend staff because, like I say, it just been pointed out to me that this ordinance does make provision for masks to be available at the entrance. And that's one thing that Dr. Toomey was saying. But I want us to think through this, how we are going to enforce anyone who becomes hostile. And I hope it doesn't happen. Don't get me wrong. It may not happen. But if it's just a matter of calling the police, we just need to have a procedure in place, because the last thing I want us to do is to implement an ordinance and some knucklehead ignore that ordinance and we have no way to deal with he or she on city property, nor is there any consequences for what that person has done. That's my position. And it's likewise my suggestion that we put this off and maybe work on those two issues and have a special call meeting on Tuesday, and we can vote on it, and possibly at that time the county commission will have voted on it, and Mr. Davis can discuss the concerns I have and any other commissioner has with the county attorney. Does anyone have any objection to that proposal?
No.
Anybody have any other thoughts? Comments, criticisms?
Got one?
Yes, sir.
If we decide that we're going to vote on it next week, since it's a condition item, if we vote on it, what we tell our senior citizen, how long would be in this in existence? Would it be June the 12th, 2020? Would it be exhausted?
I don't really think so, but we can let Nathan pass on it. I mean, I think what Nathan, the general opinion he got from GNMA is if it's the city's property, the governor's executive order doesn't extend that far.
Okay.
So this is the form I got from GMA.
This ordinance right here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yes, ma'am.
There is a planned special call for June 2nd for sensitive issues already. So we could tag this on to that meeting.
In the meantime, we can work out some strategy for how we're going to deal with the possibility that we might have some irate folks who don't see the wisdom of this policy, and also making provision for some sanction in the event that a person is non-compliant. Is that agreed, Mr. Davis? With that,
I do have a general question. So, are there any city buildings open right now? Like the government center's closed, the tag office is closed, court is closed, is utilities still closed, the buildings?
Yes.
So what is the time frame that those, do we have a time frame when we're going to open those up, or like open up our city commission meetings, or we haven't discussed that?
You know what? We've been looking at the guidance from CDC. What I'd like to do is sort of have a soft reopening of internal employees coming back to work after the June 12th shelter in place, assuming it doesn't get extended for medically fragile expires. The June 15th, what I'd like to do is start to integrate internal staff back into the workplace, work through some of those bugs, if you will, to make sure that we really can accomplish the shelter, the social distancing in some of our tighter spaces by rotating staff. And then our goal would be to incrementally open the forward-facing offices, and we're trying to also coordinate it with the county. So, for example, when they open up the tax office, we would want to make sure we open business licensing at the same time. So we're still kind of working through that. The numbers are definitely in our favor. To the extent that we can encourage people to wear masks, I think that helps us to keep our numbers really looking good. We've been very fortunate in our community. We've received 142,000 masks that we've really not had to purchase. These have been donated. We're pushing them out into the community. I think over half of those have been distributed, and organizations are helping us with that. Sariga Rising is helping us with that. The Chamber is helping us. And we're also making inroads, getting them into retail stores and other businesses. So we don't want the unavailability of masks to be a challenge for anybody. We also are working with churches and funeral homes, and we have a process for them to get masks as well. And all of which I'm saying to say that will help us to open up safely. And I didn't directly answer your question on our front-facing buildings. I'd like to talk through it with you all a little bit more. But certainly by the end of the month, end of June, we expect to open. And the biggest challenge, honestly, for us is how to handle our gyms and our sports programs and things like that. So that's our big challenge right now. How do you work through that? Social distance, all the cleaning protocols, and not diminish your program to where you have 70 kids. That becomes very, very difficult. So that's the part that I think we're struggling with the most right now, looking for guidance on how to do it safely and at the same time not disenfranchise 90% of the kids that want to come to a gym or to participate in a program. So that's sort of the general overall, very high level plan that we're discussing, and really would like to bring that in front of you for you to opine on it and to give us your feedback.
I just didn't see the rush of this if none of our buildings are open. So, I mean, we can take it up next week, but even next week is not imperative because the public's not coming into any of the buildings. So, I would like more time to study and read and think about it.
I'm sorry, I didn't know I was on mute. If we are going to do this, I think it's important that we have signs that people can see. I could see that would be probably one of the aggravations, to get out and walk up to the door and all of a sudden, there's no signs. We need to really let them know. And then if they don't have one, say, if you don't have one, we will provide you one, or you can still go through the drive-thru or the night drop, because that's where people get aggravated, when they get up to the door and they weren't aware of the policy. And it will. So many of these companies that are making our signs, they're extremely busy. And I think we maybe could even do it in-house, but I'd like to see signage, please.
We will do that. If you remember, at the beginning of the crisis, we created some signage for hand washing, for entering the restroom. So we'll do something similar at every site.
And I don't guess we have to have a motion to table this item since it was on the agenda conditionally. Is that correct? Okay, with that, we will now pretty much that concludes everything on the agenda, doesn't it?
There was one more thing. We did get a public comment through Commissioner Young and
Reverend Nelson, and can we play that now? Do I need to explain to the public what we're doing here?
You can.
Would you like to explain, Commissioner Young?
Oh, well, when we had the discussions for about reinstituting the invocation for the city commission meetings, I had a conversation with Pastor Joshua Nelson of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, and I thought his comments were so very poignant that I think we all needed to hear them. As not only a city commission but a community, and I just wanted him to be heard. I know we're doing this new thing with the virtual meeting, but I really hope we can figure out a way to get our public comments online and so people can participate in the meetings once again. But his comments, I think, are very very poignant and needed to be heard. So he offered up a 3-minute video.
Hello, my name is Pastor Joshua Nelson, and I'm the pastor of the Emmanuel Seventh-day Adventist Church here in Albany, Georgia. And I want to thank the council for this opportunity to speak to you on this subject of prayer in our city councils. Now, I understand this is a very controversial subject, one that has been talked about and litigated for many years. And so I'm simply going to share my reflections and my thoughts on this subject. I want to begin by reminding us that prayer in council meetings is constitutional, and it was deemed so by the Supreme Court some years back. It is also following a tradition of the past 200 years of prayer in government settings in our country. My fellow colleague, Seventh-day Adventist Chaplain Barry Black, who is the chaplain of the Senate, prays before every Senate meeting, and I value that and value his prayers. I think there is a place for it. However, we have to be honest with ourselves and know that when we talk about prayer, we're often talking about Christian prayer and Christian values. So we have to then think about, well, what is the purpose of having prayer in council meetings? What is the purpose of us doing this? And if it is because we want to proselytize or convince others about our faith, then I think we should stay away from it. If we think it's because of tradition and because it has been done in the past, well, we know what that has got us in history and why we should not follow in that train of thought. If it's because we want to be partisan in nature and sway policy, then I think we should stay away from it also. And if we think it's because we want to promote Christianity over other religions, then we also should think about that and stay away from the idea of prayer in council meetings. I believe that if we are going to pray, that we should pray prayers that purify our minds and pray prayers that challenge the moral compass. You know, Jeremiah 29 verse 7 talks about how we should pray for the health and vitality of the city. Even the Israelites being captives in Babylon were asked to pray for the city because as the city succeed, so would they succeed. And I really believe in that. I pray for my city. I pray for my government, my president. I pray that God would bless. And I think there is a place for it. I remember in South Carolina, we had a ministry. We were modeling after police officers who would patrol the streets in our city. And we wanted to patrol the streets with prayer. And so we started a prayer patrol. I think there's power in prayer and the value that we can see in people coming together and calling on a higher power. But I also believe that we have to be careful because we have to also remember we must separate church and state. You know, Acts 5:29 reminds us that we should obey God rather than man. And in my denomination as Seventh-day Adventists, we have a special department dedicated simply to religious liberty and how we are making sure that we don't open the door or give people the ability to open the door to allowing government to dictate what religious institutions do. We believe that as you open that door, it opens a floodgate of other laws that may be passed that can cause and hinder things that we hold dear to our faith. So as a Seventh-day Adventist, you know, I would not want to be told which day I should worship on, believing for me, of course, that the seventh day, Saturday, is the Sabbath. I wouldn't want to be mandated to have to worship on another day that I don't feel comfortable with. So people ask the question, okay, well, would you then pray if you were asked to pray by the council? Well, I would pray, right? I feel like it's an opportunity to share, you know, who I am and be able to, you know, speak to God in that moment in a public setting. I think it is valuable. But I also would say I would only want to pray if we took measures to make sure it was fair, that other faith traditions were able to pray also in that setting. But some may say, well, we don't even want to deal with this because, you know, there's too much controversy and we want to make sure we ensure that church and state is separate. And I would also be fine with that as well and say, hey, you know, that's a good thing to follow. But we have to think about this thing in a way that is equitable to all and that we think about the ramifications of what it's going to cause and what doors it will open for the future. So anyway, those are my reflections and my thoughts, but I hope that you guys make a decision that is in tune with your morals and your thoughts as you reflect on this subject. All right, take care.
Items for next agenda, Mayor Pro Tem.
No.
Mr. Fuller.
No, sir.
Mr. Fletcher.
No, sir.
Mr. Warrington. No. Mr. Langstaff.
No.
Commissioner Young.
No, sir.
Okay, I got several items here. One, I sent out an email to you on Friday discussing a proposal that the city participate in the cost of an antibody test. If we could put that on the agenda for next Tuesday meeting, and if I could ask each of you to look at it my notes and see whether or not you think that's worthwhile for the city to participate in. I would like, Madam City Manager, I saw this that Mr. Brown gave Mr. Warmington the balances on SPLOST 5 and 6, or is there any money in SPLOST 3 and 4?
I do not believe so. At that time, we used to get our allocation of SPLOST from the county, and I do not believe that we have anything left in SPLOST 3 and 4 on the city side.
Could somebody verify that for me?
I will confirm.
Okay. The other thing, I have asked for an RFP for the consultants. Are we making any progress on that?
Yes, we are drafting that. I really haven't polled the board.
What do you mean poll the board?
Pardon me?
What do you mean poll the board?
To ensure that everybody or the majority want us to move in that direction. However, the contracts we have expire on June 30th, and my inclination is not to renew them given how long it's been since they were originally bid. So we are working on a draft at this time.
Well, I mean, what do you mean poll the board? I mean, if some commissioners don't want to vote, that doesn't prevent other commissioners who want to vote. I mean, they have a contract. The contract has expired. And, ma'am?
It hasn't expired, but it will be expiring at the end of the fiscal year.
Right.
We are able to renew, but I've not moved forward with renewal. Like I said, you're the only one who's provided me with that feedback, but we are working on language for an RFP.
Well, the other thing, the state consultant, I asked for any reports he's generated in the last 18 months. Are there any reports?
No, I responded in my email that I get reports from GMA and MEAG on the legislative session. So I have not required that he provide reports. He reports into me verbally. I send emails and talk to him verbally on a number of issues for Albany, but I have not made that a requirement. My predecessors hadn't made that a requirement. And since I get that information from the other sources, I didn't think it was necessary.
Well, if we paid him $60,000 a year, I want to know what he's doing.
Okay, well.
But somebody needs to let me know about this, because I certainly don't think it's a matter of polling the board. I mean, they have a contract, the contract expires. The board ought to make the decision who the consultants are. But with that, any other comments, questions? We stand adjourned.
Whose computer don't have it? Sorry about that. About what? Do with mandatory.
I mean, you know,